There are things in this world we cannot explain, something hidden just beyond our view. Journey with us as we attempt to pierce the veil between our world and theirs. Join us as we pass through the doorway to the dead.
Join us at WLFE-DB.com for upcoming shows and so much more.
There are things in this world we cannot explain, something hidden just beyond our view. Journey with us as we attempt to pierce the veil between our world and theirs. Join us as we pass through the doorway to the dead.
Join us at WLFE-DB.com for upcoming shows and so much more.
Welcome in, everyone. It is Sunday evening, January 23rd, 6 p.m., 6:01 actually. I am Dave. This is Jim. We are one half of Keystone State Paranormal Society, and welcome all of you to Doorway to the Dead. Tonight's show is going to be first for us, and it's going to be, I think it's going to be a great show. We're bringing in a couple guests tonight that are newly acquainted friends of ours that we met over at the Hoover House. And they are the co-creators of the Get Haunted Network. You can find their network group page on Facebook. You can look them up. And without further delay, we're going to bring in Rob Stapkowitz. I hope I didn't butcher his last name. And Bill Bryan, the co-creators of the Get Haunted Network. Let's bring these guys in. Rob.
Hey, guys.
Welcome in.
You're the first person to get my name right ever, I think.
Okay, so that's right. All right. Excellent. So let me see. Maybe I gotta turn the volume down a little. See if that's better. Okay. So glad you guys could make it. Rob, we met you over at your investigation over at the 1912 Hoover House, and Bill, I think I met you there, didn't I?
Yeah. They were in about a little over a week ago.
Yeah, you came in for a walkthrough. That's right.
Yeah, him and his partner, along with Rob, they were there.
That's right. And I think we all, at least I didn't get a chance to talk with Bill that much. I had some other things that I was working on, but Rob, you and I hit it off pretty well right off the bat. I think you and Jim did as well. We all sat and talked for quite some time about your experiences, but we want to know what's going on with this Get Haunted Network. What's it all about? What started it? And then where's it going?
And also tonight, I know you all have crossed over into staging events and that too. So by all means, feel free, whatever events you have on tap, feel free to promote and get the word out tonight.
Will do. Yeah, I don't know. Is everybody else getting crazy feedback? Or is it just me?
I think it's
just echo from the three of us. So when we're not speaking, I'll mute our mic so it doesn't come through.
All right. So, yeah, it is good to see you guys again. The first time I met you guys, I was like, all right, finally, some people I'm having fun with, and we related pretty well. So it was a great first night for me. And then, yeah, Bill came back with me about a week or so later. But Get Haunted Network, I used this term on another cast, but I kind of like it. I call it a shape-shifting paranormal playground. And initially it wasn't supposed to be anything other than a place to get some cool merch and things and supplies and things like that. But I did public events for about 5 years, and left the company I was doing that for, and I was kind of back at square one at least with getting out there and doing public events. And I truly enjoy it. I love helping people obtain that, especially their first experience, right? When their eyes light up and you hear hear them gasp because something incredible just happened. I wanted to keep doing that. So, you guys know, and a lot of people know it's a challenge especially if you're just starting out or if you're a small team, getting into places, affording to get into places, making the right connections, even just linking up with another team can be very, very difficult because people are, they're kind of happy with what they have, and bringing new people in can be, a challenge sometimes, but, at least that became the vision for me and Bill. We started talking. That's a whole nother story, how we met, but we started talking about this, and I'm like, you know what, we need to build a network for a lot of reasons. And first and foremost, I wanted people to come together, right, to push what we do in the field forward in a positive way, right, because it can be challenging sometimes, and to give everybody the opportunity to do the awesome things that we've done. So, the Get Haunted Networks, it provides services to people depending on what your role is. If you're just an enthusiast and you want to go somewhere and share cool evidence, ask questions, whatever, the network's a great place to start. If you're a team that's interested in doing public events, that's one of the things, we built this thing on, was taking in charter teams, is what we call them right now. And those are teams that we know and kind of trust, and we're getting to know. We really trust them, but we're kind of getting to know them. We knew some of them. And the idea isn't so much that, look, these locations, it's like a stage, right? And people ask me all the time, why do you want to share the stage? And I'm like, it's not my stage. I want everybody a chance to get up there. So, if we can bring other teams in, we can learn from each other, right? Because everybody has their own styles and techniques and disciplines that, we may not even know exist. And getting them a little exposure, and which is turning into a lot of exposure now, and some FaceTime and practice and getting them involved with people, I think is a tremendous thing. So, in my mind, yes, we do public events and we charge for tickets, but I'd rather make less money and build the network and push this thing forward than to keep all that money for myself. So the events that we're going to put on are much smaller than ones that people are probably used to with the big public events, for a lot of different reasons. One is, I always hated crowded events. It makes a clean investigation nearly impossible. We have a format that's really different and unique, I think. And we're fun. I mean, at the end of the day, if we go and nothing happens paranormally, you got to have fun. And we're fun people most of the time. And then another facet really quickly to the, to the network is also, location owners. Spend an awful lot of time, effort, money trying to keep these doors open for teams to come in and investigate. And we're finding different ways and working out different ways that we can actually give back to them, whether that's volunteering to help paint the place or sweep out a room, charity events, whatever we can do to help, because they're really the people that make this all even possible. So there's a lot to it. And it started out as something simple, but already I've done logos for teams, doing shirts for teams. I'm like a little factory downstairs in my basement. I can do shirts, mugs, hats, and I'm able to give that to teams way cheaper than they can do anywhere else. So, it's nice to be able to give back a little bit. If I'm down there making my own shirts, what's another 15 minutes cranking out 10 more for a team?
Plug for anybody joining us tonight. I've met both Rob and Bill, and I've done some investigative work with both of them, and they really do it right. I mean, like Rob said, we have different styles and whatnot, but there are certain
The intent.
the intent behind it, and there are some paths you don't want to cross, and they do it right. And I tell you, Rob is an amazing individual with the EVP. He's very talented. Has a real Dave's our ear. Rob's got that amazing ear as well.
Peanut butter.
And and so in that, it really does pay who you go with. There's a lot to be said for someone with the experience, the know-how. There's even a protection about that as well. So if something is getting askew, you really want someone with some experience and all that knows when something's not quite right. So I can't give enough kudos to these guys. They really provide an excellent event, and it's always best, especially if you're new at this, get with someone who does it right and knows what they're doing.
Well, thanks. Let me throw that right back at you. You know, the first day I walked into the Hoover House, you guys were there. You just welcomed me in. It was like family. Bill can attest. You know, afterwards, I was like, man, like that was one of the best nights I had in a long, long time. And it's because of the house is amazing, but the people there were amazing too. You know, the living people. That's the two of you, Pam, Steve, everybody that was there that night just made it really, really, really amazing. So thank you for
Rob kept talking about it for days afterwards. So he was really excited.
You guys are awesome, and you know it was a lot of fun, and it was just different. You know, the Hoover House is so different. But
You like this? Steve's all tickled pink. But the other night, Friday, during the day, he's going down the basement, the stairs, and he has a habit of greeting our spirits as he goes down. So you hear him bounding down the stairs, saying, "Okay, spirits, how you doing tonight? Today, blah blah blah." And just as he gets down to the basement to flick on the light, he got a great EVP. It's going, "Hey, Steve, what's up?"
nice.
Hey, he was tickled pink. You know, they knew his name and all that.
No, that house talks. I mean, more than a lot of places I've been to, and yeah, I was very, very surprised at the EVPs we caught that my first night there. And then even on the second night, we got some great stuff, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, the house is amazing. It's definitely one of the most special places I've ever investigated.
Well, that means a lot to us. Thank you. We feel very blessed, and believe me when I tell you, we're trying real hard to make sure it stays pristine. If you get where I'm coming from, you know, sort of to keep the less than positive energies away, and the people make it so.
Yeah, but you know what was even more special for me? I mean, it was great that you guys got there and you got some good evidence, EVPs and personal experiences, that type of thing. But I think what made it special, at least for me, was knowing what you had gone through, Rob. And we sat and talked at length about where you were coming from, and you know, you weren't even real sure if you wanted to come back, and to trust us to be that first time back, and the security you kind of felt once things got rolling, especially when that guardian angel came through. That to me was more special than any of it, because that means that you took a chance on us and it panned out for the best, and you trust us, and that meant a lot more to me than an EVP.
I 100% agree. You know, it was another thing talked to Bill about afterwards. It was, you know, it was all fun until it felt like it wasn't going to be fun for a minute. But you know, you guys were you were all awesome, and it was nothing about the house for anybody that's listening. It was about something I had going on, and yeah, every now and then it would stick its head in, and some people don't. I'll be honest, I didn't really know how to handle it at that point. I thought I did, but yeah, when it finally popped back in, I was like, whoa, that was pretty strong. But you guys were tremendously helpful, and you know, everything about that night, you know, even ending up there, because honestly, Christina invited me from East Coast Paranormal, and yeah, I was just expecting an investigation, right? I didn't do any research on the Hoover House just because I wanted to go in kind of blind. So I was expecting like just an investigation. It's standard investigation. I walked in and it's like a paranormal party. I mean, it's just so fun and it's so welcoming and warm and happy. And yeah, you just don't want to leave. That's the problem. Like that. I wait another month.
My sister Jennifer and her husband Bob, who you got to meet, they're listening tonight, and they just wanted me to tell you hello. They were just riveted the other week with your stories and with your experience.
Awesome. Hi guys. I really, your sister is just she's a riot. I had so much fun talking to her.
Yeah, everybody there the night that the two of us were there was fantastic. Like, we had such a good time, and it's kind of crazy leading up to Rob being invited there the first time. Back in August, me and my fiance we were at the in Pine Bush, New York, at their UFO festival, and we ran into a paranormal team. We were talking. We mentioned Gettysburg, and they said, "Oh, you got to go stay at the Hoover House. The place is amazing." And we're like, "Oh, okay. We'll keep that in mind." So put a note in my fiance put a note in her phone, and then we completely forgot about it. And months go by, and it was early December, and it just randomly just opened on her phone to that note saying that Hoover House. So we looked into it, and we're like, okay, this place seems cool, and we love Gettysburg, so maybe we can work something out here with Get Haunted. So I was actually drafting an email to Steve and Pam to see if they'd be open to having us come down and all this. And then Rob calls me and says, "Hey, I just got invited to the Hoover House." Like, you gotta be kidding me.
See?
Yes, we're used to that kind of stuff happening.
Yes. Well, what was the one we had? A couple guests that were staying there, just bed and breakfast guests. They weren't even paranormal enthusiasts or anything. And they happen to be staying there the same night, and they come down for breakfast the next morning, and the one guy is with his wife and the other woman is with her husband, but this guy and that woman just kept looking at each other, and out of nowhere he's like, "I know you. I took you to my senior proms." Like, what are the odds of stuff like that,
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think they haven't seen each other since their high school days. They were living up in Jersey or something. So Pam's going, "Oh, it's Kismet."
That's great. Yeah, no, it's a fantastic place. Even even if it wasn't haunted, it's an amazing building and structure, but it's pretty freaking haunted.
That's for sure. Yep.
So one of the other things I should say, not we, Jim and Steve are in the process of doing is they have the lease on the toll house, the old toll house, and the log cabin behind it. And the toll house, Steve is going to turn into Gettysburg Ghost Exchange #2. And out of the log cabin, they've purchased a short bus, and they're going to be doing haunted tours and historical tours for the town of Waynesboro. And now I know we have the movie theater we're in talks with.
Right.
What are the other buildings in town that we have talks with trying to get public investigation?
Well, first off, the first good news is we passed the first hurdle. They had their meeting, the town did, and they passed the measure to rezone it. So that's, they had told us up front, but until they actually do it, you're never quite sure. So then they have to formalize it, and then by the end of March, sometime in March, we'll have access to both of those buildings, and they'll be open for investigations and part of the Hoover House. So that'll be pretty nice. And then we also, by then, hopefully we'll have the public library open for public investigations. This, I don't know if it's Friday or Saturday, we're back to the James and Jess Antique Store in Waynesboro doing another investigation. That's always been interesting. And also the candy store in town.
Oh, okay.
Is the original owner, really neat Greek lady. Well, she's still there. And they've got her original chair and where she used to sit. So it'll be interesting. I fully expect to be able to pick her up on some EVPs,
Awesome.
And see,
Yeah.
and much like you guys, that's one of the things we're trying to do is, as much as we love Gettysburg, I don't know a better phrase to use, and it's going to sound kind of harsh, but it's kind of played out. Like everybody goes, there's what, like 13 different ghost walks you can do. And we're trying to bring some of that excitement to this town and open it up for the paranormal and help the local businesses here as well, you know, because this place, I just moved over here last month because when I see this town, it reminds me of 50s, 60s Americana parades and families, and that's what I want to raise my kids in. It's really like a throwback in time. And if we can open up to some of these places like this and help them line their pockets and make their businesses a success, even better, you know, and that's much like you guys are trying to do with your stuff.
Yeah, everybody wins, and that's beautiful thing, you know, and you know, diners and even the gas stations, everybody wins when you start bringing tourism into a place or tours. It's a beautiful thing,
and it's a beautiful town. Like we were driving through it, it was amazing.
Friday, we were in the orphanage, the Gettysburg orphanage. Nam had a group, you know, and they were running late. There was a group of older ladies, and they were coming down Fort. They're up in the Montours, Williamsport area, Pennsylvania. And so they got there late. We had already set up. It was Dave, myself, Pam, Steve, and my granddaughter. And we were in the basement with the table. And Steve and I had hooked into some little girl, and she was attracted to Steve and wanting to come over to the Hoover house. So we were just contacting her when the group arrives. And so they come bounding down the basement stairs with a little girl. She's gone. And almost immediately you could feel there was another spirit, a much stronger spirit present. And right away they're starting to spell, and it's a woman's spirit, and she spells out her name, Regina. And the lady with the group that had just come in, she's like, oh my God. And I said, what's that? And Regina was her son's girlfriend, who they had a child together, a daughter, and she OD'd at 18 years of age. And she come through. It's been a number of years, because I think the little girl's like 11 now, beautiful little girl. And she come through. She'd been able to forgive herself for the pain she had inflicted on others. And so she had crossed over, and they were able to, and she reflected her age, and all that stuff came through. And, you know, the woman, it was like amazing. And then went over and hugged her. And then she had her friends and this table sliding on the cement in the basement, hugging her friends. And, you know, like, you can't make this crap up. You just go with it. So that was pretty neat. We had a nice session there. And then they have you been to the orphanage before, either of you? They have these long tables. They are what, like 7 feet long? 6, 7
feet long, yeah.
They're big. No, they have separate benches that you sit on. But I mean, they're heavy tables. And we run a pump in there, we're all on the table. And the guy who was running it, he was amazed. We actually got this huge table to move about 6 inches, just sitting at it, and he's filming it. He says, I can't believe this crap. So you only there a couple hours, and you know how that goes. It's a little, short, but it's amazing what the spirits are willing to come out and divulge in just a couple hours. But anyhow, it was a fun event.
Yeah, I need to check that place out one day. Haven't been there, honestly. And living in Pennsylvania, I should be ashamed of myself. I've been to Gettysburg once, but I was always on the road for the last 5 years, from the Queen Mary to New England, just always on the road. And when I wasn't doing working, I wanted to just be home and not be tired.
Right.
And for the audience, both Rob and Bill, they've been to, you name the places. I mean, they've been to a virtual who's who of the name list of the famous places and all that. And their experiences are amazing, and hopefully we can talk. What you feel comfortable talking about tonight. Because, like I said, my sister said, "Oh my God, you're riveting. Here's some of your stories." But there's also lessons to be learned in them as well.
There are, yeah, there are.
Yep. Yeah, we've learned some of those lessons the hard way.
So, how did it? I guess who was the brainchild? Like, I know, Rob, you said you were doing the merchandising side of it. Who was it that said, you know what? Why don't we start, instead of doing events for other people, why don't we start doing this for ourselves and do it better and do it our way?
I don't know. Rob and I started talking about this back in August. We were both, because I worked for Rob, or with Rob, as he likes to put it, but I worked for him. He was my boss. But we were both a little disenfranchised with the place we were working, and we knew it can be done better, and we started talking about it, and it evolved naturally into the network. I don't think either one of us really pushed for it to be the network. That's just what it became. That's what it was always meant to become.
Yeah, I think Spirit probably had a hand in that.
Yes, it's funny you say that, because I was thinking the same thing, and yeah, it just happened organically, and I don't know if we had to have discussions or anything. It just started happening, and it just even the way Bill and I met was odd. That's just the whole thing, the whole story, and even we talked about this that night. Me ending up at the Hoover House that night, that was probably on somebody's list somewhere. Like,
it definitely seems like we've been pushed towards this by a power above ourselves.
Yeah.
I
And that happens
totally get it.
often.
Totally get it. We're out of
Absolutely.
our. Yeah, I'm way out of my comfort zone.
Rob mentioned it a couple of times how we met, so I'll tell the story real quick. So my fiance, she bought me a birthday present, which was a trip to Mid-Orange Correctional Facility for a paranormal ghost hunt. And it was supposed to be December of 2020. Well, that got canceled due to COVID. So they got rescheduled for March of 2021. And then that got canceled for some bizarre reason. So we rescheduled for the end of April. So, excuse me, we show up, and this place usually has like 30, 40 people there. Me and her are 2 of 5 people. And it was the night that Rob was there working. And it was so bizarre that we're there that night. Like, it felt like we were pushed there that night. Everything kept canceling everything, but leading up to it. So and with everything that's happened, it definitely feels like Rob and I were meant to meet. But as soon as we met, we became friends pretty much immediately.
Bill, where was that location?
Mid-Orange Correctional City. Yeah, Warwick, New York. It was a boys' school and then became a prison.
That's right. I know you had told me, but I forgot. Okay.
Yeah. It's a cool place.
It's great, and I was lucky enough to be one of the first people to really investigate it, and it was a story that was just unfolding over all the months. I was there a lot, so I got to know the place pretty well and the spirits there. And then Bill said it, like, there's normally 30, 40 people, and that's what that place likes. It's just like a big battery, and the activity really starts kicking. So when I figured out it was 5 people, I was like, this is gonna suck, right? Because with 5 people, like, you don't even get a break. Like, you just got to keep going. So Bill shows up, and the other 3 people, all 5 of them were awesome. Bill's walking around with this equipment that I have never seen before, that I'm like, Jesus, what is that? And he's like, oh, I make this stuff. And I'm like, all right, what would you charge me for this? And he gave me a ridiculous number that I yelled at him for. It was too low.
It was ridiculous because it was too low.
It was too low. That's why I yelled at him. But anyway, that night turned into probably one of the best investigations I had there over a couple of years of going. Bill's really great at focusing, and like, he's got his camera, and I'm all over the place. So I see this figure walking through through this room. They're in the hallway. I'm standing in a room across the hallway. I see this shadow figure walking. I lose my mind because even after 100 investigations, thousands of hours, I lose my mind every time I see something like that. And Bill had the wherewithal to actually swing his camera around, and he got part of that apparition on film, which was just made my day, because I think we talked about this. I do feel like I'm crazy sometimes. I'm like, I saw that. I know what I saw, but did I really see that? Am I losing my shit? I don't know. But he caught it on film, and that made me happy, which saved me some money on therapy, because that thing was real. That thing was as real as it gets.
That's excellent.
Yeah, I think I'll mention for the audience sake too, Bill builds some outstanding equipment for the field. And I know he was in some talks him and Steve discussed, and I think Steve is really excited about carrying some of the items at the Gettysburg Ghost Exchange this year. So,
Yep. You'll be able to find my stuff. Empty Casket is my company, my name brand. I make K2s and REM pods and Ouija boards and spirit communicators and all kinds of stuff.
And the K2 is an exceptional K2. It's one of the best out there, I should say.
Thank you. Yeah, I add sound to it and a temperature sensor.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's really neat.
Oh, did he have one over there?
Yeah.
See, I was over here. I think I was just over there dropping something else or picking something up, and I didn't have time.
The chair, the big brown chair.
Yeah, the chair.
Yeah, the sensitivity is just perfect.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, what are the immediate plans as far as the Get Haunted Network? Do we have locations planned? Are we in talks with anybody or anything like that?
Oh, we got several locations. Our first official event is going to be at White Hill Mansion in Fieldsboro, New Jersey. That'll be February 19th. And then we have the Shanley Hotel on March 26th.
Yeah, I know.
That one's sold out.
We definitely want to do that with you sometime this year.
Shanley's awesome.
Yeah, Shanley's awesome. That one's sold out, but we have at least one more date with the Shanley coming up this spring. White Hill, we have a couple events coming up. And then we'll be at the Hoover House in June for a very special event that we're still kind of working the details out of.
Yeah, that's going to be different. So we have 5 dates locked in, 6 now with Hoover. I'm talking to a couple of other places. One of them up here that's kind of local that hasn't had anybody investigate it yet. So I'm excited about that. Hopefully we get it. So yeah, and then end of February, I've got meetings with a couple different places. So we're trying to get them lined up. The truth is we weren't going to launch Get Haunted until early this year. And I don't know. People had heard we had something brewing, right? And the day after the war in Paracon, I woke up. I wasn't there, but I guess people were talking there, and my phone was blowing up. And they're like, "What are you working on?" I'm like, "Oh God!" So Bill and I had Selma Mansion rented out. We were going with some friends to Selma Mansion on Halloween. So I was like, you know what? Let's just launch it and see what happens. So that's what we did. I mean, we're at 700 and something subscribers already in just a couple months. We've been able to help a bunch of people, so I'm happy with how it's going. I honestly never thought we'd be where we're at right now. But yeah, we've got a bunch of things in store. It's just when I had my day job, I didn't work this hard. I literally I'm working like 12 hours a day now. It's ridiculous, but it's worth it because I love it. And hey, Steve, I love doing what we do and meeting folks like you. Like I said, how we met, why we met, I don't know, but I'm glad it happened.
Yeah, absolutely. And unlike Rob, I do have a day job, and I do this at night, and I do mean that. I haven't slept really in about 2 weeks now because we actually have a show, a paranormal horror and oddity show coming up next Saturday that we're going to be vendors at So we've been cranking out stuff while, trying to get stuff done for that.
Yeah.
That'll be at the Scranton Cultural Center in Scranton, Pennsylvania from 11 till 5. So that should
And
be
what's that date again?
That's January 29th, next Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be the first time I've ever been to one, so I'm excited. But
Yeah, that should
I've
be
never
fun.
set up at one. Let's put it that way. So I got a bunch of stuff I'll bring and see how it goes.
I
Most of
think
it
we're
just-
slated the end of March, if weather allowing, for that, Rochester
Rochester Parafest
Parafest.
with Ted Van Son. He got that going up there for the Rochester community. And because he is such a dear friend and he is the producer of this network that we're on for our show, we wanted to help him out. So a lot of the people who have shows on our network are going to be up there for that one. So
That's cool.
Again, weather allowing, because Steve's already said, I know Rochester, and I'm not facing any blizzard.
Yeah, it can get pretty snowy up there.
It can. It absolutely can.
So, are there any places that are on your wish list as far as places that you haven't reached out to yet that you would really like to host an event at?
Everywhere. to put it simply, there's very few places that are not on our wish list. But we're going to try to take it a little slow. Build a reputation with these couple places and start. We'd like to stick more with some of the smaller, more obscure places, at least to begin with, because they don't get a lot of the traffic. A lot of the other
Right.
companies that do this kind of stuff, they go to the big places, the bucket list that everybody has. But we want to help out the smaller guy, because then we can bring smaller groups of people there, so it's a more intimate experience for everybody. It's a little easier on us, and you don't have a place like Waverly and you're trying to have 10 people there. Waverly, you kind of have to have a ton of people, and that's just not what we want to do, at least not yet.
And I really believe that, especially some of these new places that have really had minimal, if any, exposure, Spirit has a story and wants to get it out there. And not to say that you're not going to contact spirits and be involved with this in these famous places, but I'll tell you, you get in these new areas, and sometimes you get very intimate, personal interactions with the
Right.
spirits, and that I don't know that you could have as quality an experience as some of the established.
To steal
Almost
Dave's
always
phrasing,
they're as excited as you are, because finally somebody's here who wants to listen to us and can hear us.
Yeah.
And now we can do what we've been wanting to do all this time.
Yeah, Dave, to steal your phrasing, a lot of these places are kind of played out. But one thing I've had my bucket list, and I've slowly, crossing them off the list. And I've noticed that these places that are the bucket list items that have hundreds of people going through it every week, you don't get, like, REM pods and K2s don't go off there. They don't play around with those. So, I mean, we always try to do something a little bit different, think a little outside the box. We carry around a piece of yarn with us, and we'll put it in a doorway and shut the door and see if something tugs on the yarn on the other side. And, we're always trying to do something different. But a lot of these smaller places, the places that don't get a lot of traffic, you get a lot more really cool evidence for the exact reason you mentioned, that they're not really, they don't get to talk to many people very often. So they get really excited when you get that opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, there's a place that's near and dear to us. It's about 4 hours from us, called Kane, Pennsylvania, and the big hotel up there is this ancient place called the Kane Manor, and we've been blessed to have been invited 3 times, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't make it the one time,
Right.
but so I've only done it twice. But this place is fantastic. We've had some stuff there that we have never seen before or since. In the basement of this place used to be a gentleman's only club. And I don't mean like strippers, but I mean like a men's club. Women weren't allowed unless they were there to entertain a male guest. And while Jim and the rest of the group that was there were out kind of seeing the sights in the town and hearing the history of the town.
And this was the afternoon.
It was middle of the afternoon. I stayed there and was doing a live feed on Facebook from that basement area. And the first thing that came across the Fazal box was a man saying, "Let's have a drink." Well, this used to be a bar type thing. So sure, pour one down, you know. And then the next thing was a female that said, "You're cute." And, you know, as the tech guy who's always behind the camera, I'm like, finally, I get a little appreciation here. Well, it wound up, she followed me everywhere that night. When I was in the room with them in that same room investigating that evening, she was there. When I moved to a different room, she followed me and stopped coming across on their Fazal box. And then the building that's adjacent to it across the street is owned by the same people. It's called the Longhorn, and they have some rooms over there you can stay in as well. And that's where my room was. And she followed me over there, and we did a live session over there, and we have it on 4K camera and a live feed of her talking on the Fazal box and setting off REM pods in the room and basically telling Jim and all them to get out. She wanted to be alone with me. So we were like, well, we're going to have to change this from Paranormal X.
Yeah.
So I went up sleeping that night with the 4K on me and night vision all night just to see. And there's a couple times I was dead ass asleep and them REM pods started going off, man. I mean, she was hanging out with me for a while. Stuff like that I'd never seen, but nobody's ever heard of these places, you know. And we have a dear friend that lives right up there, right in the heart of town. And she did all the setup and talked to everybody and got it all set up. And the very first time we did it was Jim and I and our psychic medium Haley. Dan Claes was there from the Hinsdale House. It's a good group of people, you know. And we had some really interesting, fantastic stuff. So I can understand what you're saying, and I completely agree with you. These smaller places, they don't get the foot traffic. So that quote unquote, that psychic battery hasn't been used up as much. It's still supercharged and ready to go, you know?
Yeah. So let me ask you, because your story reminded me of a story that happened to me. So have you guys been to the Shanley Hotel yet?
No, not yet.
Oh gosh.
No, not yet.
All right. So yeah, you gotta come. Similar kind of thing there. You know, there's a brothel area there, and yeah, I had one. She liked me. It was weird. It was one of the weirdest things ever, and a lot of people were there. But yeah, I'll save the story for when we're hanging out there. But it is it's a fantastic place. But yeah, I love the quieter places. Yeah, that's a great question.
Now I don't know if you one of our very loyal viewers, Colette, she was asking, have you ever investigated any place that's really scary?
Yeah, that's what I just put.
Yeah, and I know you personally, Rob, have had quite the experience. I don't know if you really want to reveal about the place or you know, or just touch base on that without.
Yeah, I can skim across it.
It really is a fascinating story.
It is when you're listening to it.
Yes. But it's also warning to others that this is not a joke.
Yeah, you're not going out to go and have someone jump out and scare you. This is serious.
Yeah,
thing.
no.
You need your faculties about it when you're involved with this.
So yeah, to answer that question, yeah, there's two places that scared me. Both had me take a break from the Conjuring, from paranormal investigation for a little while. One was Old Montana Prison in Deer Lodge, Montana, and the other was the Conjuring House up in Rhode Island. So, you know, Old Montana is an old territorial prison out in the middle of nowhere. and there's just something about that place that is foreboding. Like you know when you go there that you're like, this is gonna be a tough night. And those were long events. Those were like, they would go from about 7 till about 7 in the morning, which is too long. And I'd be there, 2 or 3 days sometimes. It was just one of those places where it was really like in your face. And I had an experience there where I saw this figure. I was with a family. I saw this figure. We kind of followed it, and I ended up losing time there. And I spent what I thought was 5 minutes turned into me standing alone in a room with 2 people that I thought were real in the chapel for almost an hour. And I don't know what happened to me. I don't know where I was. I don't know anything about what occurred during that time, but that rattled me pretty seriously. Like it scared me. And they do have a dog there that's like my best friend all the time, was my best friend all the time. And once I went back up to the gift shop, that dog wanted nothing to do with me. They couldn't bribe it to come near me, nothing. So when animals start reacting, like, these things can be sticky sometimes. It's the truth. Like when you're playing in this world, there's a little bit of a gamble that you're taking, that you can get something stuck to you, whether it's for an hour, a day, or a year. It depends, really. So that one scared me, just because I don't know what happened to me, and I can't remember anything. It's the weirdest thing. Then the other was, and I don't really talk about this, these guys know my story, but I spent a lot of time at the Conjuring House in Rhode Island. And depending who you talk to, right? Some people go there and they're like, it's the easiest thing in the world. Like, place isn't even scary. And then there's people that have had some pretty big experiences there. I'm one of them. Don't know why. From the first day I ever got there, weird things happened to me, and weird things would happen to my vehicle on the way home, and weird things were happening to my kid here. And it was a gradual buildup. I spent 11 nights there, not consecutively, 2, 3 at a time max. And every time I went, it would give me a little bit more, and it was, when you go to these places, especially one like that there's a psychological factor that you have to take into account, right? This is the Conjuring House. This is supposed to be scary. So I wrestled with that a lot, with some of the things that I experienced personally. There were nights literally where I had guests there that lasted 45 minutes, and they left. They spent $250 and they couldn't deal with it. I saw people curl up in the fetal position on the floor, and I saw people having parties in there and jump into bed and wanting to go to sleep. Nothing was affecting them. I'll tell you this, what I saw there from the day one rattled me. It changed me. What I felt there and recorded there. Everybody. So if you don't know, the holy grail of recorders, EVP recorders, is the GR60. If you ask, a lot of people will agree, and they're really hard to get, and they're super expensive. I recorded things there that made me sell mine, and I love that thing, and I live by it. I came back and sold mine. I sold it. I didn't even want the tool anymore to hear some of the things that I recorded. I broke down and bought another one, but I did sell it. I had to. I love EVPs. But the long and short of it is, like, yeah, I had some issues from there, and I won't go back. I love Corey and Jen. They're wonderful people, and I hope, and I know they're trying to sell the house, and I hope they do, honestly, because it takes a toll on it. Anybody, I think, that owns it is gonna pay a price. I mean, it's a lot of work. It's constantly have people trying to come onto the property. So I'll say this, without saying too much, and because I really thought I was crazy.
Right. And I think it's fair to throw, and again, I don't mean this to disparage the owners of the house and all that, but
No.
we had an experience at the Hoover House with this very powerful spirit of good. And we were basically told, both Steve and I and Rob, that we were never to set foot on that property again. And we'd never been there, so that's easy for us. But the only reason I throw this out is, please, I don't know. I it's like the moth and the candle kind of stuff, but it's not something to take lightly. Yeah, people have gone there, not had anything happen to them. Count your blessings, but I don't know. You might have to pay a price.
Yeah,
So just a word of warning.
Yeah, and that can become in ways that you don't even think, right? It's usually not a physical harm kind of thing, right? It can affect people around you, situations around you. Even talking about it is, some people are like, this guy's crazy. I get it. And, there were moments I thought that I was crazy because, and Bill will tell you, right? Bill went, not, one night he had to work it. And I told him,
I was
like,
there
look,
3 nights over.
Yeah. So I'm like, it's going to be different, right? You're going to go there. You're going to never stop thinking about it, blah, blah, blah. But it makes you feel, whatever happens there, my observations makes you feel comfortable with the house. And, Bill, I talked to Bill on his way home, went to check on him. And he's like, yeah, it was pretty quiet. And then he started, I'm like, well, what happened? When he started rattling off, like
list of
30 investigations and get amazing
EVPs, shadow figures, things moving, SLS hits, like pretty much everything that could happen happened, and I brushed it off as if it was nothing.
He did, and I knew he was going to, and I said, listen to yourself, like, because he wanted to go back. He couldn't wait to go back to get more and more, and that's what happens with people. So I get the natural fascination with it. There's the movie, there's the book, and then there's reality, and they're all three of those things are probably very, very different. But what I will tell you is, if you're not prepared, that it can scare the hell out of you. So you gotta protect yourself.
I'm very sorry that Rob had to go through what he went through, but him going through it probably saved me from going through it, because knowing his story, both what he saw happening to me and what I realized was happening was the early stuff that was going on with him. And so I'm like, okay, I can't go back. I was actually supposed to go back in February, and I decided not to. I'll never go back there again. I'm not good. It's not worth the risk. I've seen amazing things there. I've seen it. I'll go see those things someplace else. It's not worth the risk to me.
Is it, Bill? Is there some other place that I know you're all partial to the Shanley because you told me a lot of really neat experiences, but is there another place that's sort of really special to you on any kind of basis?
So my favorites are Mid-Orange Correctional Facility. I've been there a handful of times, and every time it's a good time. You don't always get tons of evidence, but what you get is really good.
And where is that located?
That's Warwick, New York.
Okay.
The Shanley is a very close second. The last time Rob and I were there, we went there with some friends, and we had some really weird stuff happen. Both Rob and I saw shadow figures and mists and stuff moving through on the 3rd floor. He mentioned that his little interaction with one of the ladies of the evening. Well, there's 2 ladies of the evening there, and I had an interaction with the other one.
You got 2.
although mine was not as fun.
I definitely got to go now.
Take a shower next time, Dave.
The Shanley's a lot of fun. But then locally, to me, my favorite place locally is the Scranton Cultural Center. It's a Masonic temple and theater and all that. And we have a local group here that does ghost tours in a lot of the, in our valley. And they do a great job. And with them, I've gone a few times to the Scranton Cultural Center, and that place is just incredible. Again, it's not a ton of evidence, but what you get is really mind blowing.
I've heard from a number of different groups in locations around the country that have done investigations at local Masonic meeting halls and stuff. And I mean, had like the full range of activity from the good end to the bad end. And just, I don't know, something about those seems to create some kind of energies, it seems.
Yeah, and the Scranton Cultural Center is doubly because, you know, theaters always have a lot of stuff going on in them. And so here you have a Masonic temple and a theater all in the same building. And even if when nothing, I've been there before when practically nothing happened, but it's such a beautiful building. I don't care. I'm just happy being there. It's a really cool place.
Yeah.
I know Rob's never been there, but he'll be there on Saturday when we have that show.
Have you ever, like Rob was explaining, he's had a couple of times where the experience made him rethink whether to be involved with all this or not. Has that ever happened with you?
Not to the extent that Rob has had. I've had a few experiences that made me rethink how I'm going about it.
Okay.
And I've had a few scary experiences that, like, just in the moment scared the hell out of me. I was at an old prison in Altoona, PA. I was leading a group, and we were on the chapel on the property, and so everybody's sitting down in the pews. I'm standing up front explaining, you know, what we're going to be doing, what equipment we're using, and all. And throughout the night, I had been seeing shadow figures in the front of the church, and people had kept seeing things behind me. And to my second group, I stupidly said, you know, I really wish they would stop standing behind me and they would stand someplace where I can see them, because it was a recurring thing that any place I went, people would see things behind me. So my next group, I'm explaining everything, and I look over to my right, and 2 feet away from me is a person standing right there. You know, I could see every detail of them, except I could also see through them a little bit, and it scared the hell out of me. I had a Rob moment where I jumped back and, you know, created some new curse words and completely freaked out. It was terrifying. And yet after, you know, my heart stopped beating, I'm like, okay, I'm ready for more. Bring it back. So that's when I knew, okay, I can really do this for a long time. But the most terrifying thing that happened to me, we were at a local cemetery. One of my favorite cemeteries around here. It's absolutely beautiful. We've investigated a handful of times and always get really interesting results there. Well, this one night we were doing the Estes method. My fiance was under, and she was sitting at a stone where it was a whole family, mother's father, and I think it was 3 kids. They all died tragically in a theater fire. So we made contact with them, and we were getting a lot of very pertinent information. It was one of the best Estes methods that we ever had. And then everything changed. Like the whole, like the feeling and everything just kind of changed. And Tanya, my fiance, says, we are the advocates. We've been watching you, and we'll bring you up. What the hell is this? And so my first thought was alien. So I'm looking up in the sky, expecting to see something go through the sky or whatever. You know, we didn't get anything else for another minute or two. I'm like, okay, we're going to call it. I go over, and as I'm walking over to her to pull her out, she goes, they keep showing me a lake. They're showing me a lake. So I touch her shoulder. She pulls the blindfold off. She's crying. I said, what's the matter? She goes, I just saw a goddamn gray. What do you mean you saw a gray? She opened up her eyes under the mask, and so she sees nothing but darkness. But out of the darkness, a gray, as it like the aliens that you see in like X-Files and stuff, stepped out, and that's what said, "We are the advocates. We've been watching you. We'll bring you up." And then in her head, she kept saying, "Well, show me the coordinates," and it started flashing this picture of a lake to her. And it wasn't until about a week later that we were actually looking for the lake. And earlier, I was re-listening to the session, and at one point, just randomly, she said Erie. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to search for pictures of Lake Erie. The second picture she pointed at and said, that's the lake they showed me. And But what was really scary about all that was I've been terrified of aliens since I was a little kid. That night we were both heading to my house in separate cars, and there's an area where we passed a lake and we lose cell service around that lake. So we were on the phone the whole time because we were both terrified. And then we were both passing this lake, just, it was difficult to drive past that without completely freaking out. And especially knowing that on that road, just a couple months prior, we saw a UFO on that road coming home from a ghost hunt once. So it was a truly terrifying night. I thought it was over my fear of aliens. I was not. That doesn't stop me from asking whenever we do the Estes method. I always ask, are the advocates listening? Who are the advocates? Do you know who they are? Just to try to get some more information. But that was scary, personally.
All right. Well, we're gonna have to take our commercial break here, and then we'll get right back into it after that's done. So, everybody, stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
WLFE Digital Network is now on digital television. If you're into ghosts, Bigfoot, UFOs, and the creepy, then WLFE has a TV channel for you, Paranormal View. Watch all of your favorite WLFE video talk shows on one channel. Shows like Paratalk Radio, Step Into the Paranormal, Skeptical Help Bar, The Creepy Parlor, and more. Looking for something else? Do you support the LGBTQ plus community? WLFE has brought all of their LGBTQ shows like Inside the Drag Closet, Everything Yet Nothing, Across the Pond, and Rainbow Soul all into one place. A new TV channel called LGBTQ Friends. The third channel is Variety Unlimited. Here you'll find a wide variety of talk shows you know and love, like Just Cindy, Card Pulls and Coffee, Real Talk with Dom, The Bipolar DMs, Meet the Author, and Movie Review 5. The best part of watching these shows is that they're all available to watch at one location, one website, WLFE-DB.com.
You are listening to WLFE-DBradio.com, where our shows are your shows.
Listen to the WLFE-DB podcast, available on Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Check out shows like Paratalk Radio, Inside the Drag Closet, and Step Into the Paranormal. Now, on to your favorite podcast app.
This is Dominic Santasero with Real Talk with Dom. You are listening to WLFE-DBradio.com, where our shows are your shows.
Hey guys and dolls, this is Casey DeVille, the better half of DeVille Inc., Baltimore, Maryland. If you're ever in Baltimore, stop in and see me and Tony. Invisible Bree, 5920 Eastern Avenue, Baltimore, Maryland, 21224. Give us a call if you're in the area at 410-400-9641, or look us up on the web at DeVilleInc.com. DeVille Inc., where we specialize in you.
Oh, yeah. Life just got sweeter now that WLFE-DB has merchandise. Show your support by purchasing your t-shirts for WLFE, Paratalk Radio, Inside the Drag Closet, and more. But it doesn't stop there. T-shirts, coffee mugs, tanks, buttons, cloth bags, and more. Go to WLFE-DB.com. On the top bar, click on the merchandise tab and bam, there you go. You got merch. Support the shows. WLFE-DB.com.
You're listening to WLFE DB Radio. Now, back to our program.
And we're back. You about that, or
No. I know Bill and I were talking. Bill does radio
Did you tell him about
Yeah. They don't.
Did Jim tell you?
You guys are breaking. We can't really hear you.
Okay. You were freezing up for a second, but I can hear you fine. Did you his graveside session with H.H. Holmes?
Aren't they blonde?
But that's that.
Some technical Bob's on now. Can you hear us, Bob? Now he's off.
I hear you guys now.
Okay.
Okay.
Excellent.
It's been flipping on and off for some reason. We're having some technical issues. You can hear us now?
It happens. Can hear you now. When I can't, I'm gonna go like this.
Okay, now we'll
We should be good now.
little technical. I think I did, didn't I? I think.
Okay, well, here, let's try and I'll bring it back in.
Okay, we're gonna. Sorry, everybody.
So we'll do this. Do this. We'll bring them back. See if that.
You look frozen to me, but I could be wrong.
No, you okay now, Bob?
I hear you a lot better now. Yeah.
Okay, we closed it out and brought it back. Bill,
It was better there, and then it started freezing up again.
yeah. Just froze up again. What's going on?
I don't know if I remove us, if it'll. It shouldn't end the broadcast. Here, I'll take us out and bring us back and see what happens.
You just got in. Oh. Well, now we're hosting the show. Hey, everybody.
Okay, how's that? Is that better?
We'll see.
Is that any better?
Did that help out?
Definitely.
It seems better.
Okay. Huh. That's weird.
That's weird.
Totally
You know
flat,
what?
Yes.
There's spirits in this house. This is Dave's house. It's built in 1890s. I still. Are you guys
You got
hearing this
stuck.
now?
You got stuck for a second.
It's like really freezing up. Huh.
Gotta be stereo interruption because
Yeah.
we can. I don't know why it keeps freezing up. Let's try this again. I don't know. I don't know what I can do. take some time. No,
Maybe
everything's
if it changes, then bring us back. Let's see. Like, then we can who's the issue. If you got 40.
Okay, so we'll try and leave them out for a minute or two and see if that alleviates the issue.
Reiterate though, what a great group these guys are. Or if you're experienced and just want to be on board with a really top-notch group, I think you'll have a great time if you book an event with Rob. You'll get the advantage of a lot of years of experience. You get some really neat places, and the other thing is explain things and show you things. It's not a mass production. It's more one-on-one with the spirit.
And I think you'd have an even better time if you joined the event they're having at the Hoover House.
Yeah, that would be twice as good.
Still breaking up, huh? Wow, I don't get it. I don't know. Well, here, we'll put them in and we'll leave for 40 seconds.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not you guys. They said that we were still breaking up when you guys weren't there.
You were.
So we'll leave you and we'll leave for 40 seconds.
To talk
All
about
So for the folks still watching, this is
It's our show now.
I'm loving it and hating it. But so yeah, the Hoover House event that we're gonna do in June, we're gonna officially launch it probably in the next week or so. Well, about probably 2 weeks, because we have a few things to iron out. It's going to be totally different. We're going to take an entirely new and unique approach to the first half of the night. Hi, Colette.
And
So-
by new, what he means is really old.
Yeah, that's all we're gonna say, because we want this is gonna be cool. This is gonna be one of the coolest things. Hey, Steve, we took over the show. We booted Dave and Jim. We're here now.
It's ours now.
Hey, Holly. Yeah, we hope to meet you too. It's gonna be a unique and fun night. You know, it's all of my experiences there have been fun, but we're gonna try to kick it up a little and make it different and even more unique than that house already is.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We've been planning this for a while, and it's going to be good.
Okay, is that better?
So far.
All right, excellent.
Maybe it's Jim.
Yeah, maybe it is Jim. Speaking of Jim, what I was trying to ask you through all of that was, did he tell you guys the story of his graveside session with H.H. Holmes?
Yes, he did.
Yep.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that's why we have a friend. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Steve Hummel, but he used to do all of the investigations through Moundsville for a while. And then he has the Archives of the Afterlife, which is a museum of his collections of haunted artifacts. And he was getting the dirt for him for that museum. We actually found a chair that came into James and Jess Antique Store that had a really negative energy attached to it that Jim was going to talk to them about purchasing and sending to Steve so that some just random general member of the public didn't buy it and have that thing come and invade their home. So, yeah, if you ever get a chance to check out his museum, it's pretty sweet. He's got a lot of cool stuff. He's got a cap that was used during electrocution in Moundsville. So, pretty cool. I hate that story. I'm assuming that's Yvonne. because I asked them,
Oh,
and you had told them.
oh,
But
okay.
apparently she hates that story, so I'm guessing that's a bond.
She was up there, yeah.
Yeah. So, what are the long-term plans like to get as many places? I'm spitballing here, but I'm guessing
Yeah.
get as many places as possible, but still keep them small, intimate groups where you can have more of that personal interaction with, as opposed to 2 guides and 70 people. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
that will never let that happen ever.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we're both familiar with that company that we won't name because we don't do that. But
Yeah, so that won't happen. That I can promise. And I'd rather not do it than do it that way.
right,
But yeah, so right now, we have kind of the Northeast covered in terms of we have us. There's what we call the core, which is Bill, Tanya, myself, and about 6 other people that could handle events pretty much anywhere, right? Plus, we have a bunch of different charter teams, right? Paranormal New England. We have Silence Paranormal, who hopefully you guys get to meet one day. They're a group of deaf women, and I can't imagine it.
oh, I have
Yeah,
heard of them.
yeah.
They're so amazing, and they're just beautiful people. And watching them investigate it scares me, right? Because I wear hearing aids, and I depend on my hearing to make
Right.
me feel safe. I don't know how they investigate without being able to hear. It's got to be kind of creepy, right? I would think. I don't know. I know when my hearing aids die on events, I'm done. I'm like, okay, going back to the car, no more. But we have Silence Paranormal, we have Paranormal New England, East Coast Paranormal, who you guys know well. We got a bunch of teams that are ready to get going. So, at least in the Northeast, we're covered right now. And then we're going to try creeping south and west and see what happens, right? And, down the road, there's a couple things, right? We have the insurance that a lot of places require. That's important. The charter teams need to, follow kind of our standards. We have standards for things, right? And we'll always be there with them to help. And it's why the charter teams are who they are right now. They're great people. They know how to investigate, and more importantly, it's customer experience. And I like to tell people that we sell an experience and not a ghost hunting ticket, right? Because there's a big difference in those two things. An experience is everything, right? From how you're treated from the minute you walk in to, what you go home with and how you go home. If you leave there angry or annoyed about something, somebody dropped the ball, and we won't let that happen. So, if you're sitting in a room with 40 people when there should be 10, that's a problem as well. So none of those things are going to happen. At least not on our watch, right? It's just not. So I think I said it earlier, I'd rather do less places and make less money than do some of them. Now, do we want to do some big ones? Yeah. I don't know if you guys have ever been to like Missouri State Penitentiary. It's oh my God, this place is magic. Like, oh my God. So, but you can have 150 people there and never see each other.
Yeah.
It's that big. You'd have to have like 10 groups, but that's fine. That's a beautiful one. And, you can pull that off at Moundsville too, with a decent amount of people. That's another scary place. I forgot about that. Moundsville got me scared one night.
Yeah, we've been there a couple times. We've had some equipment that
busted,
has been broken and it's irreplaceable. Like they don't make them anymore. We could fix it. Was
talk to that guy on my screen. He's below me.
I'll try to help.
I gave the one piece to Steve because he'd asked
the ball.
Yeah, where it got shattered. Yeah.
But yeah, so long-term plans, I want to get more and more, hopefully we can get more and more charter teams involved, and again, get everybody out there, working side by side, grow the network group page. Another part of that we didn't even talk about, right, is we're trying to build a directory of skill sets. there's 700 people in there right now. There's accountants, there's designers, there's videographers, there's all kinds of different people. And you guys know as well as we do, like, you might need somebody with that skill set, and you can maybe find that person inside of the network to give you a hand.
That's a really good idea.
It really is.
That's a great idea.
And Jim and I have been talking for years about, everybody talks about Paraunity, but having like almost like a yellow pages of paranormal teams, because there's so many private residences that people need help and they don't know who to turn to. So if we happen to be where someone's watching a show and they live in, I don't know, Burbank, California, well, maybe we've got this directorate and we've got somebody that we've made contact with that lives close to you. And here's who you call. We trust them, and they're going to take care of you. And they're not going to come in and make a big media production, but they're going to come in to help you. Something like that.
We got that years ago.
Beyond that,
Dr. David.
Beyond even doing that, like, if you want to start, a podcast, for instance, but you don't really know where to get started on it.
Yeah.
We have podcasters that you can go talk to and get some pointers. If you want to do a YouTube channel, you can go on and ask some of the YouTube guys, what camera should I get? How can I get started on this? If you need a logo made, there's people in the group that have a background in graphic design or just a hobby of graphic design and can help with that. So
not that you're not busy enough, but that's one thing we want to try. I don't know, if not this year, certainly next year. We wanted to have an event at the Hoover House with have a couple equipment makers in and go through where people interested in that can actually see and sort of see from the builders what's doing and all that. I mean, that
would be great.
I think that would be very successful.
Yeah, that's genius.
That'd be a lot of fun. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, that's something Steve and I have talked about, because he has contacts with so many of you equipment makers, not to overwhelm it, but have just a select group and various things where people are interested in that equipment can come in and maybe, talk one-on-one with the people and see how the stuff works. Because so often it really is a shame. People spend a lot of money on this equipment and most of it doesn't come with the user manual.
Yeah.
And I know there'd be a lot of interest in that.
That would be right up my alley. Absolutely.
And we wrap it around a real nice luncheon at the Hoover House. So everybody could be in a relaxed atmosphere. And, we've done a number of like psychic fairs there and on, had just great turnout. Everybody was busy.
Yeah, that's cool. You kind of reminded me of something else we've been planning is, seminars, like Ghost Hunting 101, right? Not just for adults, like there's a lot of kids that are into this. My daughter's 16. She's been into it since she was little, but she's the reason I ghost hunt. But there are kids that have experiences and the parents don't know how to deal with that.
Yeah,
absolutely. Almost like a support group type of deal.
Yeah, but so back to Mid Orange, I did a video there with a pretty famous photographer. And he didn't believe in ghosts. He just didn't. And we did this overnight there with him and these ballerinas. And he left, believing in ghosts. Like he wasn't. He left a different person. And he said, "Hey, can I come back with my kids?" And I was, "Yeah, sure, no problem." I assumed they were a little older, but they weren't. So he showed up like 2 weeks later with his daughter, who was, I believe she was 10 at the time. And I was like, oh, this is at Mid Orange. So I was like, well, keep an eye on him. And like, this guy's pretty famous. He couldn't go anywhere. So I'm like, we can kick the guy out. It was tough, but he's really nice. And his kids are just the coolest. So anyway, his daughter, we were in this one building that we call A3, and it's probably the creepiest location on the whole property. And it's where we get just weird activity. I was doing my thing in the middle of the room. That kid saw somebody hit their light for a second, and that kid saw somebody standing behind these two women. I knew who she saw before she ever said anything. She freaked. So they had to go outside. She wanted to leave badly. And I went out and was talking to Dad. And he's looking at me like, dude, what do I do? And I'm like, I talked to her. I was like, hey, hon, I'm like, you saw somebody, didn't you? And she couldn't believe what I was saying. And she's like, yeah. I was like, do you have like a beard? And she's like, yeah. Like I was validating her experience for her where her dad didn't know what to do. And, you can make kids feel really silly by not embracing the things that they say they see. So Ghost Hunting 101 would be cool, kind of touch on the equipment thing. And you're right, Jim, a lot of people buy equipment and a lot of it does not get used properly. Even on the shows we watch on TV, I laugh sometimes because, they're like walking around. They're putting the music box facing the wall and it's going off. It's
cringeworthy, especially as somebody who makes it. And I'm watching it and I see a REM pod go off and it's a series of beeps that get faster and faster and faster. And then it's just on for a long period of time. And they're all freaking out with all the activity they're getting. I'm like, no, that's a REM pod. That's batteries dying. That's what it does when the battery dies.
Yeah.
I see it all the time. Or an SLS where they're walking around with it. The SLS is going to give you nothing but false positives if you walk around with it. It has to be on a tripod, stationary, not moving.
Yeah.
That's how it was designed to work.
Yeah.
Alicia, yeah, I'm looking at Alicia's comment. Yeah, I mean, that's a perfect example. And especially if you have three boys seeing and hearing things, how do you argue it? And it's got to be difficult, right? Especially if you can't, I don't know. It's tough. Yeah, it's a tough one. But I always tell people, just embrace your kids and make sure you're supporting them and not, if it's people, when kids are telling the truth or not. And especially the young ones. My daughter started at 2 talking about these monsters she was seeing when we'd visit my dad in the hospital. And she wasn't watching monster movies. She didn't really know what a monster was at that point. She used to freak me out. She's creepy. But she's what got me going. So it was pretty cool. So
this network that you guys are looking, is that what this attachments page is on the website?
So that's not complete. So if you're on my website, it's not. God, Facebook's a better place. But yeah, for attachments, that's pretty much anybody we're friendly with ends up there. I do need to build a wall of fame still because we're going to do some paranormal challenges at some of these events, and people that win the challenge, will get their mug up on the website if they want it there. And also all the charter teams I need to build out. So there's a lot that needs to happen on the website still. Facebook has just been like a beast for us. It's pretty wild how quickly this thing caught fire.
And there's 2 Facebook pages. There's the Get Haunted page that's public. But if you look for the Get Haunted network group page, that's a private page. That's where all the fun stuff is. That's where everybody meets up. That's where all our members are. And please come and join it. We'll let everybody in. It's we make it private just so that we can get rid of people if they're a problem. But we haven't had any problem.
Yeah,
everybody's been amazing so far.
Yeah, and we do cool giveaways. We'll give away crystals. We'll give away, and when we get 1,000, I'm going to get Bill to give away maybe something cool.
I think all the sort of the amateur status of this field. So many people. Whether it's equipment making, putting on podcasts, doing events, it just has really, I think, kept the interest going and been growing so much in that almost, I think they've pulled just the vast majority of people have had at least one experience in their life that they just can't explain in a normal rationale.
What's really funny, Jim, is so I'm an electromagnetics engineer. I work for a big defense contractor. So it's all engineering and science types. And I don't hide the fact that I'm involved in the paranormal or do any of this stuff. And publicly, I get made fun of for it. They mock me a little bit. It's all in good fun, and nobody's hearing it. But as soon as I get these guys alone in the hallway or we're in a room together and it's just the two of us, every one of them has a story that they want to share, because now someone's going to listen to them and not think they're crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, people are afraid of being ridiculed or, made fun of, and yet, when you really talk to them like one-on-one, it's an experience they'll never forget. It's ingrained in their being, and
it's why I love doing public events, because a lot of people, the vast majority of the people I've taken on overnights over the past 5 years were first timers, right? And most of the time it's not to generalize, but it's the wife who's really into it, and then it's the husband who's like, all right, she dragged me here, and they're the ones that react. And man, when it happens, it's just a beautiful thing.
You
had it all.
That family at the Bel Air house where the guy was with the son?
Yeah, it was. Well, Rob, you know Mike Simpson.
Yes.
We did a public event at the Bel Air house with him, and he had brought a family that he knew from his hometown in
Columbus.
No, from Detroit.
Oh, Detroit, that's right. Yeah.
And the son was really into it. The mother was really into it. The father was kind of like, whatever. And sure enough, by the time they left, that father was like, this was awesome. I'm never coming back to this place, but this was awesome. We got video of a pinwheel spinning on its own and then stopping, then spin a little bit, stop. And he's like, oh, well, there's an AC unit in the window across the other side of the room. I said, all right, come on, we'll go up there and debunk it. So we go up there. And I said, put your hand in front of that pinwheel. And at the time, it's not moving. I said, can you feel air from this AC unit? He's like, not really. I said, look at the pinwheel behind your hand. And it starts moving. And it stops. And he pulled his hand back. And I said, good, it's all right. I know exactly who this is. Trust me, she's fine. I said, put it back. He put his hand back. I unplugged the AC unit. I said, now, is there any air coming in this room right now whatsoever? He's like, no. So look at the pinwheel, and it starts moving again. He's like, I'm out.
That's great. Yeah, similar story in Missouri State Penitentiary. It was two sheriffs showed up. Their wives were so excited. It's an iconic place to begin with. I mean, when you walk up to it, it's just, I don't know if you've been to Eastern State, but take that and magnify it by like 20. Two law enforcement. They had their police flashlights with them. And we were joking around. I banter with everybody prior to, taking them in. And they're like, this is, you guys are going to fake it. I'm like, we don't fake it, man. But I was like, I'm going to have fun with you guys. So once I had them, I brought them up to the hate crimes unit in one of the buildings, housing unit 3. And I just walked them up to the catwalk to this area where that's pretty active. And I was like, all right, guys. I'm like, I have 2 LEOs here, 2 law enforcement here. Have fun with them. And I started walking away. And they're like, where are you going? And I'm like, I was like, this isn't real, right? And they're like, no, but you can't leave. So I kept walking, and I was like, just turn their flashlights on for me. And guys, hand it, God, one of their flashlights comes on, then the other one comes on. And they're like freaking because it's their light and their actual push button is not like the whole Maglite thing. And man, by the end, they came and they thanked me and they were like, dude, I don't know how to explain that, but like they were taking it apart, trying to figure out what was wrong with their own flashlights. I'm like, you can fight it all you want. I'm like, but tonight when you're laying in bed, you're going to be going, how the hell did that happen? And yeah, but those are the moments, man. It's just so much fun.
Absolutely. Do either of you have plans to get back down in the area? Just you guys, not for an event or anything? Just come down and check some things out. I think you guys would have a blast at the antique shop.
I plan on being in Gettysburg at some point in February. I'll be there on March 19th. I go to Gettysburg a lot, and now getting involved with you guys and working with Steve, I expect I'll be down there quite often.
Well,
I'll be at the
hopefully-
Farnsworth House Wednesday. This coming
Oh,
Wednesday.
I love the Farnsworth. Me and Tanya stayed there October of 2020. That place was amazing.
Yeah, I'm going to, it's my first time there. I'm going to hang out with Lawrence from Mondo Ducks.
Oh,
Oh, okay,
well,
yeah,
Lawrence.
yeah.
Years and years ago, Jim and I, when we first got into this, we didn't know that there were places you could go and rent, like a Bel Air house or a Moundsville and stuff like this. So all we knew was Gettysburg, Antietam, Harper's Ferry, because you could go there anytime. They were free, and they were active. So every year for, I want to say 3 or 4 years, Jim and I would pick a weekend and spend an entire weekend investigating at the Farnsworth House. One year they were so nice, they left everything unlocked for us.
Except the kitchen.
Except the kitchen,
That's
right?
nice.
We could get down to the basement, to the catacombs, all of it, the attic, everything. And then we got iced in.
There's an ice storm.
Ice storm, so we could have left if we wanted to. And we got such fantastic stuff that night. And then I think the reason we stopped doing it was the final year, and they knew us by then. We requested same rooms every time. They tried to put us in one of the cabins outside.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so, okay, well, of course, those are brand new type of nothing. And we couldn't get into the buildings.
One neat thing, I'm glad you mentioned that. Again, this is when we were rather new at this. We used to have those old Sony night cams,
Yeah.
big ass things.
8-pounders,
And so we were that one time we had the whole place to ourselves, and we go in Jeremy's room. You're familiar with Jeremy's room and the toys and all that. You lay
Yep,
them out.
that's where we
Okay,
stayed.
so
We
we-
would stay in Jeremy's room.
Yeah, we put all the toys out on the floor in Jeremy's room, and then we take our camcorder, we set it up on a stand, and got it going, and we locked the door. So we all got a bite to eat. Place is all locked up. When we come back, we unlock the door, and all the items are back in the box.
Wow.
Holy shit! So
Right?
That's cool.
I go grab the camcorder. The entire circuitry was fried, was destroyed, had nothing. And I took it to a shop, and I'm like, what the hell? And he goes, he said, sir, all your micro circuitry's gone. It's just like destroyed. And I said, well, what the hell? What caused that? And he said, had to be some kind of giant power surge.
Electrical power surge, yep.
Yeah. You got zapped.
Ah, God, yeah, I mean, it's like,
But
tell you what
I
happened to-
remember, we lost this couple $100 camera,
oh,
but
it's more than that.
this
then.
is awesome.
Yeah.
Something came in and did this because we had the key to the room. It was locked.
That's the silver lining.
Yeah, we had what, in my opinion, is the worst thing that ever happened to me on a ghost hunt happen in Jeremy's room. So on the trunk there, right by the door, I had lined up a bunch of pennies, all face up with Lincoln facing the same way, lined them up to see if they would change while we were out to dinner and walking the battlefield and all this. So we go out, we come back, and Tanya's on the phone with her kids, and I walk in and I immediately go over to take a look, and the pennies spell high.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Hold up. So I start freaking out, and I'm trying to get her attention without yelling and screaming because she's on the phone. So finally she comes over, and I'm like, look. And she looks down, and she goes, oh, yeah, I did that before we left. Crushing disappointment.
Hey,
It
have you
killed me.
guys? That's I would be upset.
They'd be like,
I'm upset.
okay, you gotta
and it
get
didn't
out.
even happen.
Go. Walk home.
Have you guys done Hillview Manor yet?
No, and that's on my bucket list because it's so damn close.
Yeah.
It's good. It's so good too. I rent it for my birthday every now and then, so you guys can come along, man.
When is that?
Whenever. It doesn't have to be my birthday. I'll go there anytime.
Yeah, we really
I would
be
absolutely be interested.
It
in
is.
that, yeah.
It is one of the most haunted places I've been. It's good. Watch, I talk it up, and we're gonna go, and it'll be dead quiet. But
Yeah, I haven't
like
been there.
people hum in my ear, humming songs. It's just crazy. I love
Two
that
of the
place.
places that are on my bucket list that, I mean, they're very well known, but I don't know if they get a lot of foot traffic as far as paranormal investigators go. Is, well, another one does, Malvern Manor,
Yeah.
but the Villisca Axe Murder House.
Yeah.
I know everybody knows it, but I don't know if it gets investigated often. I don't know if they allow investigations that
Yeah,
often.
They do. We were actually planning on going out to Villisca, and then the Sally House was only about 2 hours from there.
Oh, I have heard of the Sally House.
So
Yeah.
we were planning on doing that this year, but Get Haunted started taking off. I'm like, we'll hold
That's
off on
a
the plan for another
long
year.
When
Yeah.
Steve and Pam still had the RV, we were planning a week-long trip. We were going to hit both of those, but COVID.
Yeah.
COVID's. Ugh.
Mm.
Yeah, it's killed more dreams than, well, we won't get into that political stuff. So it's starting to take off. You guys are getting it out there. What's next on the list? Like, what's the next thing, like, on your itinerary? Okay, we've launched this. We've announced this place. We've announced this thing. What's next for Get Haunted?
Our first official event's the next thing on our list, February 19th.
Okay.
I believe there are still tickets available for that too. White Hill
Yeah,
Mansion.
there's a few left.
And then, Dave, you posted their connect.
Yeah, I posted
Yeah.
for the Facebook group on
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
So guys, and tickets are still available for that. Go on.
For White Hill. Yeah, it's February. Hey, if anybody here is thinking about going, I'll be honest with you, it's gonna be a little cold. The house was built in 1723, before we were ever even a country. So it's not the best heat that you'll ever find. There's a heated trailer outside. Yeah, White Hill is a rad place. We get amazing evidence. I've been there dozens of times. I'm actually, I think, technically a volunteer there still, but it's a great place with great activity. That's our first official event. So while we're doing that, looking for more places. I'll announce. We're doing something else. I'm working on too. I'll just say it. So we're trying to. We're not trying. We're ready to. We're going to 3D scan as many of these haunted places as we can, the interiors, so that people can do virtual walkthroughs on them.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I have the gear.
Ambitious.
Yeah.
I have all the technology. I have the gear we need. We just got to get a good day to get down and do the first one. So that's something we're going to be working on to get out there. You know, I have friends. My daughter has friends, people that are stuck in wheelchairs or can't get out of the house who want to see these places. And this is about as close as you can give it as an experience.
Wow.
You know, because you can put information inside of these 3D tours. So something we're working on right now. There's a lot happening. It's like never ending. And then cool, you know, the shirts and the merch and that stuff is starting to take off a little bit, which is nice. But it keeps me busy, keeps me awake. And
well, that's the thing. I mean, goddamn, time just blows by like nothing. And I know I'm behind in so many of our projects. Good God, and the daunting task of the evidence review.
We are years behind on that.
I'm so far behind on evidence review. It's not even funny.
I know.
Like, when we stayed at the Hoover House, I only just pulled everything off my recorders a couple of days ago. I haven't even gone through it yet.
Yeah, same. I know I got to clear it off too.
Yeah, I will send you that chapter of it too. I've got your email, so I will send that to you this week.
Yeah, that'll be great. Here's what I'll say. Like the Hoover House, man. So like when we were up in the eaves of the house, is that what? I don't know.
Yeah.
I call them the walkouts, but I know what you're talking about.
All right. So yeah, wherever we think Arthur is, or that was the name at least, I swear, hand to God, it's dark in there. Who's I up there with? Steve and Bill, right? And Tanya.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they stuck me in there by myself. Yes, but I swear to God, I saw something walk right past me. I'm sure that's on the recording because you just hear me go, "Oh no, 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 no! All right, you gotta let me out, because I couldn't find the friggin' doorknob or the light. It's just like every floor was something. And it was nothing menacing. It's just
Right.
I turn into a chicken sometimes. It happens, but when they're like walking past you, I was like, "Holy crap!"
We have a
that
ghost
basement,
cat.
everything.
We have a ghost cat at the Hoover House, and we haven't. And we had people come up like in the bash last year, where when they come out, it was brushing them in the legs and stuff.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen it for like 3 months, and I'm saying, where's our cat? Evidently, it's going back to Jenny and Bob's house.
Oh yeah.
My sister, they must have taken it back with them when
Oh,
they
really?
took Emma home the one day. So you don't know it's with us.
I need to see that. And then Michael brings up that rocking chair. That's where we got some pretty wild EVPs on that chair. But the front TV room, it just, man, the house talks. So both times it's really cool.
Yeah, that's
Do the White Hills with them?
Yeah,
There's still
yeah.
tickets available. I mean, it's only 3 hours for us.
What's the date on that?
19th.
February 19th. It's Caitlin's birthday.
No,
This Saturday.
I think
There's
that's
also one in. We also have April open. So
I'll
that
double
one's live.
check this, yeah. Let me double check with Pam. She's got the master booker there.
Yeah, White Hill's a really special place, man. That place is so
That's cool. That'd be neat.
And that guy, Michael, that you're talking about, that's a friend of mine that I've known since, I'm going to say, 10th grade year of high school. So
Really?
30 plus years. He's actually the picture you have of the Hoover House.
Yeah,
He took those pictures for us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a fantastic photographer.
Thank you, Michael.
Photographer. So he came up at the Lookout, the old place, the Lookout House, and did the photos for that. And then he came up and did the photos we used for the Hoover.
Oh, I know.
great
This
guy.
is pretty neat. The Historical Society here in town, it's literally right across the street and up maybe like 3 or 4 homes. Okay, it's called the Oiler House, OILER. And anyhow, I volunteer there once a month, my wife and I. And they gave me a key so I can get in there and do EVPs. It's very haunted. Anyhow, there was the lady I worked with. She's native here to Waynesboro. And she last time I worked with her, she wanted to come over to the Hoover House when we were finished. She used to go in there in the 40s when the bar was downstairs.
Really?
So she was trying to, place things where. And she said that like on Fridays and Saturdays, you couldn't even get in down there. She said if you weren't there by a certain time, there were no seats. So you would have to have someone save your seats and all that. But that was sort of interesting to actually talk to someone who remembers it, from that period. She loved the place, she really, really did. But when Steve, Pam, and I, my wife, we'd gone over to the Oiler House to meet the people in the Historic Society. Yeah. Steve's walking around with his recorder, and when we got into one room where there's all kind of records and stuff, he picked up a really cool EVP, and it said, "Oh, the Hoovers are here." So I said, I'm taking that as praise. Thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's just a cool place, man. I can't wait to come back. Like, I can't wait to. I'll be down in the area Wednesday. I'm like, I wonder if I can pop in and say hi. I don't know. I hate imposing. Yeah.
No, absolutely.
No.
Open invitation to both of you guys.
Stop in and. Jen, absolutely not.
You guys are great.
Oh my gosh, we love you.
Let us check, make sure our schedules are free. I mean, I know that's Caitlin's birthday, but I don't think she'd be upset.
Yeah.
And as long as everything's open, we may just pop over and do that White Hill with you guys.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's
cool. White Hill's a lot of fun. The first time the only time I was there, we actually had a disembodied voice up in the attic that we all heard with our own ears.
Nice.
Yeah,
I've seen it all there. One of the very first times first time I ever really saw like a full like apparition is I saw this woman standing downstairs, and man, it's like I and of course my photographer was with me, and he was doing something on the camera looking down, and I'm like, so I screamed. He almost dropped his fight. It was cool, man. Like
there is the link to anybody who wants to get tickets for the Get Haunted Networks events. And I've already put in the Facebook group info up there. So check that out. I know Colette I happened to be on it when it said that Colette had put in a thing, asked to join the group. So,
okay.
So that's there. Obviously, we can't wait to see you guys again, have you back in town, get together and do some stuff. I really hope it works out. We can make it to White Hill with you guys. That would be amazing.
Love it.
And,
Dave's finally starting to get his house together here. So
yeah, it's actually looking like a home now.
Looking like a home.
I got blinds up. It's cool. People are like the people across the street can't sit on their porch and watch my TV shows anymore. So, but I want to thank you guys for taking time out. It was obviously a very busy schedule and spending it here with us tonight. And
it was a real pleasure getting to know both of you over the house. And
absolutely.
Yeah, you guys are amazing.
You guys are great.
Yeah,
we had for having us. Can't wait to come back.
Absolutely. Open invitation. Whenever you're in town, pop on by. And again.
And hopefully before too long we'll be able to take you up there to the tollgate house. And it would be neat to take you in there and just see what you pick up.
Yep.
That'd be awesome.
Then, once we start getting these other locations in town together, maybe that would be something we could get for them to do public events at.
Yeah.
Like the library.
We might be able to provide you several new locations that have never been done.
Yep. All virgin territory here in Waynesboro. So
great. Dave, were you in the Army?
I was.
All right, we'll chat after.
Absolutely. Yep. 3 years active, 5 years National Guard.
What MOS? We'll do this later. Sorry, everyone.
13 Bravo. Gun money. Good art.
I was 11B.
Gotcha. So, well, you guys have a safe time doing what you're doing, and protect yourselves as you know you need to. And we can't wait to talk again.
And thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you, guys. Good seeing you.
Thanks for having us.
All right, we'll chat.
Well. Take care,
guys.
Take care. Bye.
And that was Rob and Bill Bryan and Rob Stankiewicz. I'm glad I pronounced his name correctly and didn't butcher it. Of the Get Haunted Network, the new guys in town, but man, they got a plethora of experience. Like we said, Rob's been hosting everything for years, and Bill builds his own stuff.
Oh man, Bill's equipment is really
top notch. Yeah, he brought a couple pieces down.
Yeah,
and Steven showed me.
They're going to be a very hot item.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get in on the bottom floor. Check out the group page on Facebook.
And I know Steve has talked with Bill, and I think there's several of the items that he's going to be carrying in his stores. So.
Okay, so definitely the Gettysburg Ghost Exchange, obviously in Gettysburg, and coming soon, Gettysburg Ghost Exchange 2 right here in Waynesboro.
In a couple months.
Yep. So thank you to everybody who took some time and spent with us tonight. Special shout out Alicia, who was in. I have a picture she sent me, and I have to show it to you and discuss with you, and get back to her. She had some questions about it.
Okay.
So it's something I have to pull up on the computer because it's kind of grainy on the cell phone.
Okay.
So we will take care of that tonight before Jim leaves, Alicia, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Everybody else, thank you, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
Take care. Stay well.
Thank you for joining Dave and Jim on Doorway to the Dead. Catch us next week right here at 8 p.m. every Thursday as we open the door to paranormal discussion and more.
it is good.